My name is Judith Yan, and I'm so happy to have a chance to chat with you today. I'm actually in Hong Kong right now, and about to start the production of Don Quixote with the ballet here, Hong Kong Ballet. And it's been really quite interesting, and I'm glad we're having this chat now. Because we did have a conversation earlier on, but I was in the comfort of my living room, I guess. And at the time, there were upcoming engagements that were happening and then got canceled and happening and going to be canceled. And at that time, I really wasn't sure if how long it would be before my industry, or before I get back to life as I remember it. With live performances and all the travel, but since then I ended up coming to Hong Kong. They okayed the production, so I got on a plane, and it has been a very, very interesting experience. It's been very, very different. It took me, I think, usually it takes me about maybe 2 to 3 hours to pack for if I'm going away for 1 month. But this time it took me 10 hours in total to pack, and about 3 days in advance, or even more probably, of making sure I had the right things, and the masks and the face shields and the sanitizer and all these things, and also getting to know the procedure of what's going to happen when I landed, because because of all the different concerns that are happening now because of the pandemic. So the procedure was actually quite interesting, and I feel much calmer now that I've actually done it. Because at the time in Toronto or in Canada, I was you're reading about everything that you have to do, and it just seemed like a big huge mystery. And it was very involved. So when I landed from Hong Kong, from Toronto to Hong Kong, we were all had to sign up, and we all were assigned this bracelet, which has a tracking device. And then we were all sent to watch this video of how to provide a saliva specimen for the lab. So we all went and did that. There was all this, all these paperwork that had to be filled out. We had to scan a QR code that said that we're, attest to being healthy and all that. And then we proceeded to sit quite distance from each other for because our plane was the last one, I think, to get tested. So we actually waited for 10 hours in the airport. So we've all flown about 16 hours on the plane with our masks, and some of us had shields. So that was kind of tense. And once we landed, we had to wait another 10 hours. And once we all were tested, and once you were tested as negative, they allowed you to go to your hotel. So once I got to my hotel, I had to activate this app on my phone, and to make sure that the app itself, or whatever the tracking device it is, knew exactly where I was at all times, and I couldn't leave my room. It just at the time I think we were all frightened or unsure and nervous, but I have to say, like, the officials and everyone was so polite and so patient with all of us. I mean, they understood the anxiety that was involved, like, for everybody, and very, very kind. So here I am. I'm on my day 11 of my 14-day quarantine, and I had to take a second test yesterday to be sent off, and then this courier service came. So I had to set it all up on my app. I had to order it to be picked up via my phone, and they phoned me, and then they came, picked it up. So it sounds like a lot, but it's a sacrifice that I personally was very willing to take. The prospect of not having any human contact for 2 weeks, in person, having to the thought of not being confined, especially as a Canadian, and where we were living, we lived out in the country, right? I mean, we went through the pandemic. That was a good 6, 7, 8 months, and we were out hiking and all that stuff. We felt limitations, but not to the degree of people who were living in a major metropolitan city. And I knew coming to Hong Kong that it would be challenging. Like, I mean, how would I feel? But in the end, right, I love what I do very, very much. And I can't wait to see my colleagues who are rehearsing right over there right now. I don't know if you can see. There's the Opera House right there. There's the skyline. It's really actually not so bad being in quarantine here, because it's a beautiful view. And I can't wait to see them. And yeah, whatever hardship was and is entirely worth it.
What is it like to work in quarantine? How are you observing all the rehearsals and participating in the process?
Oh, well, it's been very interesting. This is a company I've known for probably 10 years. Like, we have a 10-year-long relationship. So it's like coming home, right? It's like seeing family. And I think the day after there was WhatsApping was happening, with the administrator and the lead pianist and the head pianist, Nicholas, I can't wait to see him, because we have such a ball. Like, it was so much fun when we're working together. So he turned his camera on and was showing the rehearsal and playing, and you can hear his commentary in the background. It's quite funny. So at least I could see some of that, right? And then I was able to say hello to some of the dancers. And he also filmed an entire run of Act One, and just uploaded onto YouTube and sent it to me, because the company is always ever changing. The dancers are changing, and I mean themselves as well, but not only just personnel. And sometimes the versions also change. So it was nice. It was very good to be able to be updated. So I'm not sitting here waiting to be released. I was able to work. So that was great. But the funniest thing was in the middle, around 12 o'clock, I thought he was kidding. He says, I'm going to video WhatsApp you during lunch. He says, that circle over there, the circle down there where we cross the road to go for lunch. Well, I had no idea what he was talking about. Anyway, so the phone rings, and it's Nicholas on video, and he says, it's us. And he goes, look out your window. And I looked out my window, and there they were waving at me. So that's really sweet. I mean, the work is, I wonder if it's all the more special, right? I mean, people, I mean, I think as artists or we all value what we do so much. And I'm saying that every profession values, if you love your job, you really, really love your job, and whatever changes that are impacting, it has an impact on your job right now. We feel this sort of sense of, nostalgia for, the kind of the way we used to work. But however, I think if you love what you do, it makes you value it all the more. And I can't tell you how happy it made me to see those guys. I mean, they were like tiny. Like I had to really zoom in because they were so far away, but I could see them like waving. And I took a picture. And I think that will be my most valued photo of my time here, was those guys, taking the time to do that for me. So.
What does it feel like to return to work after such a long break due to the pandemic?
Oh, that's a really good question. I'm going to be really honest and say, it's been 9 months, I think. The last concert I did was middle of January, and then everything canceled. And now we are in October. It's scary because, you know, well, any kind of work, but I think particularly this kind of work, it's muscle memory, right? It's so much, that's very much part of it. And you have to, it's years, like decades of building up endurance, right? So, and to think that for in all of a sudden you don't do anything for 9 months, that's unthinkable. I think I tried to keep up. I play, you know, I play the scores, play piano, but then there are times like during this pandemic when you're thinking, when the news that you're reading is just so dire, it's so awful, and hope not very hopeful. You think, am I ever going to do this again? And that makes it hard to keep going. So you're basically think. I mean, I actually ended up preparing four or five programs or concerts that ended up like you do all this prep work before you show up, and then you don't get to do it. So by the fifth time, you kind of think, am I doing this in vain, right? Am I pouring all my energy and hope for it to not happen? So when with Hong Kong Ballet, when they made the proposal, I was really surprised. And as each month goes by, it looked like it was going to happen, and it looked like there's more of a probability. So it was interesting, you know, to see that side of yourself, you know, not wanting to be disappointed. But yeah, I you know, I have to be honest. Yeah, it is. I think because it's only been 9 months, it'll be like yesterday. Like the automatic responses will still be there, and I hope that. I mean, I always appreciate my work like so much, and I always feel so like lucky, and I feel like I'm going to Disneyland to work every day, and it'll always feel like that, I think, until I retire. If I retire, yes, I will retire at some point, but I think because of this, I will appreciate my work even more than I ever thought, you know, so.